Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Inside Tauck. My name is Dustin Smith, and I work here on the marketing team at Tauck. Thank you so much for taking the time today to join us from wherever you're logging in from. For those of you joining for the first time, it's wonderful to have you. And for those of you who are rejoining us, thank you, and it's great to see you again. I feel like I say this every time, but we have a really unique edition for you all today. A walkthrough of Canada's capital cities with three of our wonderful Tauck directors, Sydney, Felix, and Jen, and as well as our Tauck tour architect, Valerie Dulin. This platform, Inside Tauck, something new we created this year in our 95th year to connect with you all, our guests, to connect with our travel partners, to connect with each other, as a way for us to show you the world's great destinations, inspire travel, give you some expert knowledge and fun experiences from the people you'll hear from today. I hope this one provides a much needed escape and a break from the news cycle right now, and hopefully inspires some future travel when the time is right, which we are really hoping is sometime very soon. So before we get started, just a couple quick things from me, logistics wise. You are all on mute today. If you do have questions or comments or issues, please write them into the chat. Myself and Valerie will be monitoring that throughout. We will have time at the end for a short Q&A session. Today's session will last roughly about an hour. We'll actually have a 25-minute video to share with you that our tour directors shot in their hometowns. And we'll finish with a 15 to 20-minute Q&A where everyone will come together and answer your questions live. Also, there's closed captioning for today's session. So if you do need to use that, you can toggle that on and off at the bottom of your screen on Zoom via hide or show subtitles. Today's lecture is also being recorded, so that you can watch it again later if you'd like, or share it with friends, and it'll be up on our blog page, The Taucker, in the coming days. We are also streaming live today on Facebook Live. So if you do have any technical issues, or if you want to forward this to a friend last minute, they can log onto their Facebook page and then go find Tauck on Facebook, and you can watch it there as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Tauck tour architect Valerie Dulin. Valerie plans and manages many of our North American journeys, including those in Canada, and has been with Tauck for 10 years. So I'll now turn it over to her for a brief intro before we start the program. So Valerie, take it away.
Thank you, Dustin. It is my pleasure to be here with all of you on this webinar today. Thank you for joining us on this virtual visit to Eastern Canada. My role here as a tour architect, I have the role of designing tours and also tour components for Northern North America. I am here with three of our professional, esteemed Tauck directors. Together, we will be introducing one of our dynamic tours in Canada, the Canada's capital cities plus Niagara Falls. This tour is 10 days, 9 nights. It starts in Toronto, Ontario, with 2 nights at the historic and newly renovated Fairmont Royal York Hotel. In fact, all of the hotels on this tour are the luxurious Fairmont properties, so it's pretty exciting. This tour journeys from Toronto to the east. It builds in scenery and in culture and in charm. After Toronto, we stay in Ottawa, Ontario, with 2 nights at the elegant Fairmont Chateau Laurier. Then it's on to the city loved the world over, Montreal and Quebec. Here we have 2 nights at the Fairmont Queen Elizabeth Hotel. And the grand finale is one of the most charming cities in North America, Quebec City, Quebec. It is so charming that I had to design it with 3-night stay at the Fairmont Chateau Frontenac. This is one of Canada's most photographed hotels. Eastern Canada is really such a gem. It's a destination with so much diversity between stunning views of waterfalls with the famous Niagara Falls, just outside Ottawa on Lake Ontario, the Thousand Islands, you can see it behind me here. It's a beautiful archipelago and just so gorgeous. Just imagine yourself cruising on a private charter, a luncheon cruise on this beautiful archipelago. This tour features 4 cosmopolitan cities with an abundance of culture, museums, and attractions, all on their own. We highlight one of those very special museums in Toronto with an after-hours Tauck exclusive welcome event at the renowned Royal Ontario Museum. It is a perfect venue to get to know your fellow travelers. Canada's capital city, Ottawa. I have to say, this was one of my bigger travel surprises. I had not expected the regal stone buildings lining this beautiful meandering canal. It struck me that I had stepped into Europe somewhere momentarily. Then next, it's Montreal and the very special Old Montreal. There are two very different areas in this very large city, and we actually will tour both of them with a local guide. In Old Montreal, I designed a walking and tasting tour of this historic quarter, a unique way to explore the charm of the old city. And you can never go wrong with stopping and tasting something delicious as you meander through the cobblestone streets. Then one of my most favorite cities in North America is Quebec City. It is so charming and really one of those very special places that really needs to be visited. Now, as a special treat, the Tauck directors who work in this region will be walking through their favorite parts of each city on a virtual tour. We have tour director Sydney Holmes, who will be showcasing Toronto and Niagara Falls. We have Tauck director Felix Audet, who will be taking us through the beautiful city of Ottawa. Tauck director Genevieve Thibault, who will be introducing the fabulous Montreal and Quebec City. And just before we begin, please remember at the bottom of your screen is that chat button that Dustin spoke about. We love questions, and we will be here live after this short vignette to talk to you and answer your questions. And we hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. My name is Sydney Holmes. I am a Tauck tour director. I've been with Tauck for the past 3 years, and I'm really excited to show you my home. So I'm from just outside Toronto, and I'm excited to welcome you here. We're also gonna head up to Niagara Falls a little bit later. We're gonna follow along Lake Ontario until we get there. But for now, let me tell you a little bit about Toronto. Toronto is the capital of Ontario, the province that we're currently in. Toronto has just under 3 million people living here, and it is one of the most diverse cities on the planet. We have over 180 languages represented just here in Toronto, and we're very proud of its diversity. Any type of food you could possibly imagine eating, any language you want to hear, you can hear it right here. It's like having the world in one place. It's very exciting. We are standing right now in front of the Royal York. The Royal York is a historic landmark here in the city, and it's where we stay on our Tauck tours. So the Fairmont Royal York was built in 1927 in conjunction with Union Station, which is just across the street from us, the major train station, the major hub of the city, where you'll see lots of rush hour traffic and commuters coming and going on our great train system that runs across this country and across the city. So the Royal York, when it was built and opened in 1929, was the tallest building in the British Empire, which now when you look at it, it's pretty crazy because we have some insane skyscrapers, very tall buildings, and in fact, we used to have one of the tallest freestanding building in the world, which is the CN Tower. Though it's no longer the tallest, we're still pretty proud of it. The CN Tower stands at 1,800 feet tall. You can go up to the top. There's a revolving restaurant up there. If you feel brave enough, you can take the stairs, 1,700 steps, your choice. You can get your workout in for the day. So we recommend you go visit the CN Tower when you come out to Toronto. It's definitely a must-see. The first tunnel in this city was built between the Royal York and Union Station, and it started a craze because the entire city now has an underground city. As you probably know, it gets incredibly cold in Toronto and in Canada, and we don't want to walk on the street if we don't have to in the dead of winter. So we have an underground tunnel system that we can walk to anywhere we want in the city and not have to step foot outside and get our boots wet and get cold. So we like our underground city. You'll see it all over. You'll see signs for the path. It's kind of interconnected with our subway system, and that's something you can check out right below our hotel. It starts here and goes anywhere you can possibly dream of. Toronto is home to many of Canada's favorite sports teams. We have the only Major League basketball team, the only NBA team in the country is here. They're the Toronto Raptors, who the city is very proud of. They won the NBA championship for the first time last year, and the city went totally nuts. We have signs all over the city that say, "We the North, go Raps, go." So we love our Raptors right now. We also have our only Major League Baseball team in the country here in Toronto called the Toronto Blue Jays, and they play in what locals still call the Sky Dome, though it was bought by Rogers and it's now called the Rogers Centre, but that doesn't sound nearly as exciting as the Sky Dome, which has a giant dome top that opens in the summer and everyone's sitting out in the beautiful sunshine watching their baseball games. We also have our Toronto Maple Leafs. Now this is a hockey town, a hockey country. We love, love, love our hockey teams, even though they haven't won us a Stanley Cup since 1967. It is the most expensive ticket in the league to get a seat here to watch them play, and they still haven't won us anything, so I'm not sure, but Canada sure loves their hockey teams. The city's not just a sports town. We also have incredible arts. We have an opera, we have a ballet, we have a symphony orchestra. We have museums galore. We have the Royal Ontario Museum. We have the AGO, the Art Gallery of Ontario. We have incredible live theater through Ed Mirvish Theatre Company, and we have incredible live music venues. So this is a hub in Canada and a hub in Ontario to see live music, to see great art, to go to museums and see great sports. So this is definitely the center of it all here in Toronto. Okay, now we are in beautiful Niagara Falls, Ontario. We are just across the border from the United States side. So there is one part of the falls that is on the United States side. Then there is the Canadian Horseshoe Falls, which is right behind me here. And there's a tiny skinny falls in the middle called the Bridal Veil Falls. My absolute favorite part of this tour is coming to see Niagara Falls because often there's someone on the coach who it's their first time coming and it's been on their bucket list for many years, and I love getting to show guests something that they've always wanted to see. It brings me a lot of joy. We get to take a boat ride on the Hornblower Cruise boat, and we go right into the base of the falls, and it's spectacular. Often we have guests who are brave enough to go to the top of the boat and get totally soaked and sprayed by the falls, and it's so fun to see their faces when they come off absolutely like beaming with joy from seeing one of these incredible natural wonders of the world. You will hear stories when you come visit us here from your tour director about people who've tried to go over the falls. You might hear about Annie Taylor. She was the first to do it. In 1901, she went in an oak barrel, and first she sent her cat down as a test run. But she survived, and there's been many attempts after her. Now it's illegal to go down. We don't recommend it, but there's some great stories to hear about that. A really cool fact about the falls is that they actually redirect the water up on the river behind the falls at night when the kind of peak tourist hours are over to generate hydro, and the hydro serves both the New York State side and the Ontario side here in Canada. So there's hydroelectricity generated by these falls all year round. So we've come from Toronto, we've traveled along Lake Ontario, and we've ended up here where Lake Erie drains into Lake Ontario via the Niagara Falls, into the Niagara River, out to Lake Ontario. So all of the other Great Lakes drain into Lake Erie, come down over the falls, and out to Lake Ontario, out to the St. Lawrence River, and then out to the Atlantic Ocean. So this is part of the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway, which you kind of get to follow all along on the Canadian Capitals Tour. Once we leave Niagara Falls, we travel along the beautiful Niagara Parkway. We pass beautiful, beautiful vineyards and wineries along the way. Niagara Peninsula is just a little bit warmer, just a couple degrees warmer. So we're able to grow things here that we're not able to grow in the harsh climates in the rest of Ontario. We can grow things in Niagara like stone fruits, so peaches, plums, nectarines, things like that. We can also grow grapes for wine. So in other parts of the country, we have some technology that's allowed us to grow grapes, but definitely Niagara is a prime space for grape growing and winemaking here in Canada. Our specialty is ice wine. So the grapes get frozen overnight, they harvest them at night, and there's a couple little drops left in those grapes that they harvest for a very, very sweet dessert wine, best served chilled. We recommend you try it while you're here. We also go to lunch in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Niagara-on-the-Lake is a beautiful little historic town that was one of the main sites for the War of 1812. Of course, kind of the forgotten war, but the war between the United States and what was then British North America, now known as Canada. I grew up so close to the Niagara Falls, just 45 minutes away. I've been here so many times, and it never gets less spectacular. Every time I come, I'm amazed at how gorgeous and how incredible this wonder of the world is, and it's truly really, truly the highlight of the tour for me, to show guests this very, very amazing site that we have so close to where I'm from. Thanks for coming to Toronto and Niagara Falls with me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your virtual tour through the Canadian capital.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Ottawa. My name is Felix. I'm one of the Tauck Tour Director. I've been working for Tauck for the last 6 years. I know time flies. It goes so fast, it's ridiculous. I work for Tauck most of the time in Europe. I work on the Rhine River. I do every tour on the Rhine River, from Amsterdam to Basel, from Amsterdam to Milan to Bern. I do them all. I also run the Christmas market on the Rhine and the Danube River. It is the best time of the year to see it, by the way. I also run our new tour from Toronto to Chicago on the Great Lake. It's a wonderful tour. It is a gorgeous boat. We do this on a Pona ship. It is beautiful. But let's forget all about that. Right now I'm here to talk about one of my favorite. It is this one. It is called Canada's Capital and Niagara Falls Tour. As you may have guessed with my accent, I'm from Montreal, and this tour goes through Montreal. But if you look behind me, right now I'm in Ottawa, Canada's capital, our beautiful capital, and I'm gonna show you around. Let's go see. Everyone come to Ottawa to see our Parliament building. Our Parliament building, it's beautiful, it's unique, it is Gothic revival architecture, it is gorgeous. If you come here with Tauck, we will bring you inside. You will be able to see the interior of the West Block. Usually, our government is meeting in Center Block, but Center Block is going through a renovation for the next 10 to 15 years, so we will be seeing the West Block. West Block just opened their door last year. They went through a lot of renovation. It is all new inside. It is gorgeous, beautiful. The color they choose just look great. I cannot describe it to you. You have to come see it. And well, I wasn't allowed to record inside, so that's something that you have to come see. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Standing behind me, it is Chateau Laurier, one of the finest hotels in Ottawa, and where you will be staying if you come on that tour. It is a gorgeous hotel, and the history behind it is also very interesting. It all started in 1912 by a man named Charles Melville, who was the owner of the Grand Trunk Railway Company. And for your pleasure, it is also the best location downtown Ottawa. You know why? Because everything is 5 to 10 minute walk from the hotel. So while we're there, if you want to go shopping, there's the Rideau Center, 2-minute walk from the hotel, just across the street, you know. And then if you want to go to the Byward Market to buy some fresh food, or just to buy some souvenir, it's about 5-minute walk from the hotel. If you want to go see the Parliament again at night, it is about 3-minute walk. If you want to go to the National Art Gallery of Canada, it is about 7-minute walk and you're there. Everything is really, really close from the hotel. That's why it is the best location to stay downtown Ottawa. The Rideau Canal is right by the hotel also. If you want to just go look, sit by the water, just next to the hotel. The first thing we see next to Chateau Laurier, it is Rideau Canal, one of UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was built after the War of 1812 for one purpose only, to be able to bring reinforcement from Ottawa to Kingston in case of an attack from the south. The construction began in 1826 and was complete in 1832. It is 126 miles long and there is 47 locks. When the canal was complete, the steam engine was out and the boats were way bigger than expected, and the canal was too small to carry those ships. So it was never used for military purposes, but always used by pleasure boat. Still today, as you can see, it is used by pleasure boat. Look at those two kayak paddling through the locks. And as you can see, the locks are operating by hand. A lot of fun. During winter, the canal is transformed into the largest skating rink in the world. It is 4.8 miles long, and you can just skate on it as much as you want. Yeah, they have kiosks on it everywhere where you can buy a hot chocolate to warm you up because it is Canada, it is cold, eh? And then you can also buy one of my favorite food, a beaver tail. Oh, it is delicious. It is not what you think, okay? I will not tell you what it is. You have to come here to find out for yourself. I'm waiting for you, okay? Every year, there's thousands of people that will come skate on the canal. So it's something to do during winter. It's a must, actually. So come here. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, we're standing in one of my favorite spots in the city. It is right here in this side of the river. It is called Gatineau. On the other side of the river, it is Ottawa in the province of Ontario. And it is the best view of the Parliament is from this side in the town called Gatineau in the province of Quebec. Everybody from this side of the river speak French. Everybody from this side of the river speak English. And when we're done visiting the Museum of History of Canada, it is the perfect time for you to grab a lunch and to grab a picnic and just enjoy the view from the Parliament right here. And then when you're done, you can grab a water taxi and finish right back at Château Laurier. Water taxi is right there.
Bonjour, dear virtual Tauck guests. My name is Genevieve Thibault, or as many English speakers call me, Jen, very simply. I'm here today to present to you my dear city of Montreal. Very beautiful city, mostly French-speaking city. About 65-70% of people living here speak French. Later on, we will move to Quebec City, that actually has 97% of the population speaking French. Let me start by saying that Montreal is an island, first of all. So it's a huge island, about 20 miles long by about 10 miles wide. And it is surrounded by another 30 or so islands in the middle of the St. Lawrence River. So that's quite unusual. We have over 20 bridges that link the island with the other islands and with the southern and northern shore of the St. Lawrence River. So it was founded by the French, and the French were in fact in Montreal in the mid-1600s and stayed really all throughout, but eventually the power switched to the British in 1759. So from then on, the British were in power, but the French were actually the majority of the people. Now, as we walk through the streets of Old Montreal, what you can see are obviously very old buildings. What is special about them is that even though Montreal was founded in 1642, there's very few buildings remaining from that era. The reason for that, there's a few actually, but the main reason for that is that in the mid-1800s, Montreal power really grew very quickly and very strongly. So prior to the 1840s, Quebec City was the biggest, most influential city in Canada. This other building that we can see here that's so beautiful, one of my favorites in Old Montreal, is the Bon Secours Market. It is filled with artisans and handcrafts. Really, this was a building of great history, as it was once the Parliament of Canada. Yes, indeed, between 1840 and 1857, Canada had a traveling capital that went from Kingston, Montreal, Quebec City, Toronto, and so on. So this for 2 years was the sort of capital, if you will, the Parliament of Canada. So what we see today as we are walking the streets of Montreal really dates back from 1840 on, right? So really it is early 1900s, later 1800s. Really, that's the era that we're seeing today in terms of architecture. Some of the examples I was talking about earlier, one of them is the Sulpician Monastery that we have to the right of Notre Dame Basilica. So we can see this here, a beautiful monastery that fortunately has been kept with the wall surrounding it and with the little garden in front of it. So that definitely is a late 1700s building. Now this is so exciting. Let's go in. So this is where John Lennon and Yoko Ono stayed for a week back in 1969. And this is where John wrote and recorded Give Peace a Chance. This is the bed where they stayed for literally 1 week. And we have now little memorabilia like this vintage TV set showing them in bed right here at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel. We have guitar like what he would have used and the instruments he would have used to record. We also have virtual reality sets so that people can really immerse themselves in the experience. So if they're willing to pay several $100s. So quite cool, isn't it? Bonjour and welcome to my beloved Quebec City. To my right there, you can see the landmark of this city, which is Chateau Frontenac. Frontenac was a famous general that was quite feisty, and that's the reason why this chateau got its name. It's never been a real castle. It's always been a hotel from the Fairmont chain, previously Canadian Pacific. I don't know if you can see, but just above here, there's an American flag. And this flag is in fact there because it is the consulate, the American consulate here in Quebec City, right next to Chateau Frontenac. Chateau Frontenac looks medieval in a way, but it's been built in 1893. So it celebrated its 125th birthday just a few years ago. We are here on the Dufferin Terrace, which has been the place to come and do the little passeggiata or do the little walk throughout the day and especially in the evenings. In the day, it was the place for famous people and very well-dressed people to come and hang out. It has a beautiful terrace, which I'll show you later, view over the St. Lawrence River. And here, if we look a little bit the other way, we can see a strange metallic structure. It is the ice slide that we use in the winter months. So this city does not shut down in the winter. It's very much alive. In fact, we have the largest winter carnival in the world. So this ice slide is very famous for kids and for adults as well. So here we are in the lobby of Chateau Frontenac. Gorgeous lobby that was restored just 4 years ago with the beautiful blue ceilings to remind us of the St. Lawrence River nearby that is a bit like our Nile River here in Quebec province. And this is the beautiful Champlain restaurant. This is where we can have dinner on one of the nights that we're here. It's very classic, beautiful, with the great view again over the St. Lawrence River. Here we have the very famous Petit Champlain Street. It is a co-op of different artists who make an incredible shopping experience. Lots of handicrafts, from chocolates to potteries and clothing and so on. Now, coming down the Petit Champlain, towards Petit Champlain Street on what we call breakneck steps, I'm going to risk my life for you and explain about it going backwards, or almost, as we are making our way towards Lower Quebec. So you can see beautiful little cafes and creperies and little bistros as well. Petit Champlain is a place also where you can find food and drinks in the evenings also. So from early morning until the late evenings. Lots of entertainers also on the street, so it makes for a lively experience. This is my favorite spot in town. The reason is, well, it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful. It is a religious building. It is a school. It was originally a school for priests. It is now it's many things. It's Department of Architecture of Laval University, the local university. It's also a high school. It's the Department of Music of Laval University, many things. But this is just to show you a little glimpse of what Quebec City used to be called. It used to have the nickname of Casablanca of North America, because it was all like this, all white. So I'll say au revoir, I'll say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this little glimpse, and I hope that my love for Quebec City has come across a little. I hope that it gives you the motivation to come and visit us soon. Au revoir.
Thank you, tour directors. Oh my goodness, that was so exciting. And we have had the best comments coming in. So thank you to the audience, everybody that's watching. We're really enjoying your questions that are coming in. But before we get to those questions, I really want to introduce the Tauck directors and have them say hello quickly to you directly, and then we'll get into some questions and answers. We'll start with Sydney. Do you want to introduce yourself, Sydney?
Sure. Hi, I'm Sydney Holmes. Thanks for joining, everyone. I live just outside Toronto.
That's great. Thanks, Felix.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm super glad to be here. I'm actually super excited. I love the video that we just did. It made me want to, watching this, it made me want to travel again. Like, I want to go see everything. It's going to be fun.
We're all feeling that travel bug coming up. And Genevieve, Jen?
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here, and I miss you all so much. I'm looking forward to be back on the road. Yes, just very happy to be here, even though it's a little stressful.
What, just a few visitors here today watching everyone. It's the best way to spend an afternoon talking about our favorite destination. It's pretty exciting. I have to say, watching the video and seeing those images of the winter scenes, it almost inspires me to create a winter destination to this part of Eastern Canada. I have seen in images for many years people skating, ice skating on the canal, the Rideau Canal out in Ottawa, and it just looks amazing, and sledding. But we'll stay with the warm weather right now and continue with some questions. So we have had so many folks writing in saying that they were on this tour and how much they loved it, quote unquote, one of their favorite tour destinations. So thank you for that comment. That was fantastic. Jen, we have a number of people that have been traveling with you and are saying hello to you as well. So I thought I'd get to some of these fun questions. One that had come in is on Niagara Falls. So we'll go over to Sydney. Sydney, does Niagara Falls freeze in the winter?
Niagara Falls typically does not freeze in the winter. It's the reason it's such a great waterfall is the incredible mass of water that comes over the falls. And so the last time it actually froze fully was in 1848. So it's partially frozen. Sometimes you can go on the internet and see pictures of it frozen, but it's not completely frozen. Even in 2019, last year, we had a really, really cold part of the winter and it looked almost all completely frozen, but not quite.
Thank you. Wow. I can't imagine it freezing completely with such force of the water coming over. A question on Toronto came in. What is Toronto best known for? Why don't we take that to you, Sydney, too?
Sure. So Toronto is really the financial hub of the country. And Canada has a really interesting relationship between the French and the English. And that's something that's really cool to get to learn when you come on tour with us. I learn more and more about it all the time with my wonderful French colleagues. And so the banks and the headquarters of the banks used to be in Montreal. And in the 70s, there was a lot of tension between the French and the English with the separatist movement. And so the English decided they needed to move the banks to Toronto. And so since then, Toronto's really been a financial hub of the country. So our banks are there, the Toronto Stock Exchange, which is one of the largest exchanges in the world, and real estate. The average housing price in Toronto right now is about 1.5 million Canadian, which is 1.1 million in US dollars. And also we're more and more film and television happening in Toronto. So they've realized that they can have Toronto double as New York City. So a lot of times if they want to make it look like they're in New York City, they can come to Toronto and film there. We also have the Toronto International Film Festival in the beginning of the fall, and a lot of the celebrities stay at our hotel. So that's kind of fun.
That's fantastic, for sure. The Fairmont Royal York is a really special place in town.
Mhm.
Just gorgeous, all of these properties. Thank you for that. That's fantastic. We had a question come in. What is the best time of year to travel on the Eastern Canada program? And I'm curious if, Sydney, you have an idea. Maybe we'll get some other ideas from some other tour directors as well.
Sure. As a Canadian, I like when it cools off a little bit. So I love the fall. And when you get a little bit of that fall foliage, it's really, really beautiful. So I love September, and October is really when the colors change. September is nice. It's not super hot, even though people think Canada is a really cold place. We do have really warm, toasty summers. So if you like the heat, July, August is beautiful. And if you like it's cooled off a little, September. And if you want that color in the trees, October is great. So anytime, Canada's great all the time.
Great, thank you.
I agree on that one.
Jen, I was going to ask you next, what about flowers? The best time to see flowers?
The end of July, really, the end of July. But Canadians work really hard in the spring with greenhouses to have fabulous flowers from mid-June to early September. So, you know, it's good from late June till late August, but end of July, I guess, would be the best. Yeah. And I have to say, picking up on what Sydney was saying, that late January, early February, if you like, you know, winter fairyland, Quebec City is fantastic for that time as well. A totally different vibe, all in white and all beautiful.
That's great, thank you. Felix, how about you? Do you need to know French to live in Ottawa? This question came in.
Well, most of the folks that live in Ottawa will know a little bit of French, the basic, because their neighbor are actually French, right? So if you want to take your family to a day trip in Gatineau right across the bridge, it's always good to know some French, you know. Un bonjour go a long way. Same thing for the people that live in Gatineau. They all speak English there, so when they cross over, they will speak English with you. But you don't actually need to speak French, but a lot of the folks there will know the basic. Like if you go to University of Ottawa, you can choose to pass your exam in French or English, depending which one you choose.
That's great, thank you. How about Felix? How expensive is it to live in Ottawa?
If you look at downtown Ottawa, it is around $2,000 to $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. That is in Canadian dollars. So in US dollars, that's like $10 a month. No, it is like $1,500 to $2,300 a month in US dollars for downtown Ottawa. If you go across the bridge, though, in Gatineau, you will pay around $800 to $1,600 for a 2-bedroom. So half the price. Again, this is in Canadian dollars. In US, that would be $760 to like $1,300 US dollar a month. So half the price right across the bridge. So now it's a 5-minute drive, so you can choose where you want to go.
Thank you. Jen, we have someone very interested in winter time and the temperatures in Quebec in the winter. Do you have some idea, some temperatures given Celsius and Fahrenheit?
Yes. So, you know, the average temperature is about -10. I'm sorry. It's about 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about -10 in Celsius. And so that's the average temperature for winter. Again, Quebec City is quite cold compared to Toronto, for instance. So winters in Toronto tend to be a bit warmer. But for Quebec City, I'd say that's about the average. However, we do get a few days every winter when it goes closer to -40. So that's something to keep in mind. But as my mother would say, there's no bad weather. There's just wrong gear. So you come up ready with a few layers and it's all good, all good.
Great, thank you. We'll keep our tour program from May to early October for the most part. It's a very pleasant time of year to travel. We had a question come in about the Thousand Islands that's behind me, and if we actually tour the Thousand Islands. And yes, we have a private charter cruise, actually a luncheon cruise. So you have to visualize yourself sitting back on a private chartered cruise through the Thousand Islands.
If I can add, it is, you will not believe it. To be honest, it is between US and Canada, and it's out of this world. It's look like it's not between US and Canada. It's look like it's a different country. It's just so different and it's so beautiful. It's all the castle that you see. We're sailing just by while having lunch on the boat. It's just wow, out of this world.
I always think it's a really cool addition to the trip because it's such a part of the Canadian identity to go to your cottage in the summer, which is your cabin up on the lake. And so it's nice as we go through the cities that we get to stop and see these beautiful, they're not really cottages or cabins, like estates on the lakes. They're really beautiful, but it's a very Canadian thing in the summer to be spending time out on the lake and on the river.
These are some of the cottages, are they? Behind me? Behind me is the Thousand Islands, just to reiterate that. So, Felix, does the Prime Minister live in Ottawa?
Well, he lived in a place called 24 Sussex Drive, which is about 10-minute drive from the hotel, or 20-minute walk. If you come on tour, we will drive in front of it. You will be able to see it, but there's a lot of trees in front of it, so you can just glimpse it a little bit. But he is the first Prime Minister in over 10 years that did not live there at the beginning. He lived across from the street in a place called Rideau Hall, where our Governor General also lived, Julie Payette. But there's rumor that during summer, because this year summer was really, really warm, that he will cross the street to go use the pool in 24 Sussex Drive, you know? But the fun fact about that house is that it is the house where he grew up, you know, because when his dad was a Prime Minister of Canada, this is where he grew up. And now he got to raise his family there too. It's a family house.
That's great. Felix, you mentioned beaver tail on your video, and it is lighting up the board here. Everybody wants to know what a beaver tail is and how you cook it. And I think you're going to have to tell them what it is.
Oh, well, it's a pastry, okay? It's not the animal. That's just how we call it, beaver tail, okay? It's a flat dough, and you can put whatever you want on it: cinnamon, chocolate, banana, pineapple, basically whatever you want on it. And it's really, really good. Right now, if you eat one right now, you probably don't need to eat any more food until Christmas. That's how much calorie there is in one beaver tail, you know? But it's fried dough, really flat, and it just tastes delicious. A lot of calorie though.
How many have you had, Felix?
Well,
come on, be honest.
I only have one a year during winter, you know, to keep me warm.
Jen, Sydney, any ideas about your beaver tails? Do you eat them as well? It seems to be a very popular question.
Yeah, of course. That and poutine. You have to have that when you come to Canada, for sure. You have to hope you're near some medical facility because they're very, very high fat, I would say. But beaver tails, they're in the shape of a beaver's tail. That's where they get their name, and they're delicious.
That's great. You mentioned poutine, Sydney. Do you want to tell them what that is? That's a specialty too.
I always get mixed reviews from guests if they like it or they don't. I always tell them they should try it, and I always get people that are like, oh my God, that was not enjoyable, or people that love it. I'm on the love it side, but it's French fries with cheese curds and gravy. And if it's not cheese curds, it's not real. It's not the right version, right, Genevieve?
The cheese curds have to be fresh. They have to be made that morning, because there is a sound that comes with the cheese curds, and it's a squeaky sound, and it's very important. And that's the basic. And to that, you can add different sausages, caramelized onions. You can add different sauces. Oh, we even have some lobster, lobster poutine, or foie gras poutine, and then it goes up to your imagination limits. So
I can tell it's the afternoon. We have a lot of questions on food and restaurants, and there's a really great question about our evening at the Royal Ontario Museum, and if we can visit the museum. Sydney, do you want to take that question?
Sure. So we're really lucky. I have a lot of friends that live in Toronto and grew up in the area, and I always tell them, like, we get to go to the ROM after hours. It's very exciting. So the ROM is closed for the evening when we go, and we have a private area where we have our dinner, and we have two wonderful docents who take us in the European exhibit for a short tour, about half an hour, and then we have our private dinner, and then we head back to the hotel. So the museum is not open at that time, but we often recommend that people who come in, our tour doesn't start until the evening, so oftentimes people will take that day when they get into Toronto to do some exploring, and the ROM is definitely high on the list of things to see and do.
That's great. Jen, we have a question for you. Knowing Quebec City is about 500 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, how high are the tides in the city?
the average tides are about 11 feet high. Throughout the year, we have higher tides in the spring and in the fall. During the harvest moons, for instance, we'll have up to 18 feet, sometimes even 20 feet high. That's pretty cool, you know, considering we're 500 miles away from the Atlantic. And the funny thing is, when you're standing by our hotel, Chateau Frontenac, and you're looking down at the river from up the cliff, sometimes, because tides come up and go, the river, instead of flowing down, it flows up. So, because the tide's coming in, it's pretty cool.
Thank you. And someone's asking about the clothing in Canada in the summertime, if it's cold or hot. Why don't you take that one, Jen?
Many of my guests in the past years have been so surprised how hot this part of the world is. So it really, it goes up to the lower 90s pretty often. And so really just like anywhere in the US, shorts and t-shirts is all good. But we do have, cooler weather towards the earlier part of our trips, and the later part of our trips as well, early October, late May. But often it is quite surprising how warm it can get.
We had a question on if you get to taste maple syrup. Why don't you tell them about our visit, Jen?
The maple syrup, the sugar shack, we call it. It's really dear to me because it is a major part of our culture. Maple season, first of all, is in March and April, and it's a bit like a second holiday season for us Canadians, because it really is when everything comes to life again. So we celebrate it greatly with colleagues at work, with family members and friends. We go there, and it's really a big celebration. So on our tour, we do get to experience, just a little glimpse of it. We see the best of it. We get to taste the maple taffy, the maple cookies. We get to see the sugar shack, to hear the music and all. So it really is like a mini version of the sugar shack experience. It's quite fun and so tasty.
Thank you, Jen. You mentioned the underground in Montreal, and we have a question on how many shops are in the underground in Montreal. Do you know how many shops there are?
It's unbelievable. We can never go around them all. And our hotel, Queen Elizabeth Hotel, is right in the center of it all. it's about 2,000 shops that we have within just a few blocks of our hotel. This underground is not only one floor, but it's actually several levels, up to 4 floors down, and it's really more like a maze. So it's one of the activity that I recommend to guests when we're in Montreal, is just to go with a map, if you can, and then try to get lost a little bit in this maze. Yes, it's fun. It's really a lot of fun. And if you get lost, you just go up and you resurface, and chances are you'll be 2 blocks away from our hotel.
That's fantastic. You had really fantastic footage of the Chateau Frontenac, the Fairmont Chateau Frontenac. It's really one of Canada's most photographed hotels, but I believe you might know another superlative about this hotel.
Well, it's funny because when you look at the hotel claims to be the most photographed in the world, and there's several magazines that have, portrayed the hotel as such. So we won't know the truth for sure. It has not been yet a Guinness World Record that's officialized, but it's certainly what people think and believe in the area, and several travel magazines have claimed that. But when we walk around, it's amazing the number of people that are just taking pictures of it all day long. Yes.
That's
Especially,
fantastic.
yes.
I'm wondering if Felix or Sydney, you want to share something else with everyone?
I've got a couple questions actually, Valerie, if you don't mind me jumping in here and assisting. I've got one for Sydney, one for Felix. Sydney, a guest asked about Toronto specifically, and that it used to be it was known to be a really clean city, and they were wondering if it's still very clean.
I happen to think everyone could do always a better job of cleaning, but all my guests always tell me whenever they come, they're so impressed by how clean all of it is. Like for the whole tour from Toronto to Quebec City, everyone's really impressed with all of our cleanliness of all of our cities, particularly like Niagara on the Lake is so beautifully kept, and the flowers. So I often hear a lot of comments that people think it's incredibly clean.
Good. Well, that's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And Felix, when you were talking about the locks and the kayaks going through the locks and how they were hand cranked, who moves the locks? Can anyone move the lock, or is it?
No, it's the people that work there. Yeah, you cannot do this. There's a chain that blocks the locks, and only the people that actually work there, that they're there all day long. You can book in advance if you know what time you're gonna pass with your kayak, and then they will be there to open the locks for you.
Got it. That makes sense. I'm sure they didn't want to make that a free-for-all for everyone. A question came in actually from Facebook, and some guests have echoed it here. I'm not sure who was best to answer this, but someone jump in. What are some of the city's top festivals throughout the year?
For Canadian capitals, because we're not talking about Calgary Stampede or anything like that, but really main festivities, I would say, of course, there's the Carabiner Festival in Toronto. That's a pretty big festivities. What I would say the biggest in this part of the country that we're going to on a Canadian Capitals tour. We also have, the Formula One in Montreal. That's really huge as well. I would say that's probably the second biggest Formula One in early June. And then we go into, because Montreal has 125 festivals throughout the year. So, but you go into the Francofolies and the Jazz Fest that is massive, 800 shows in 10 days. So it's, very big.
Yeah, I would say Carabiner in Toronto, which is the Caribbean festival, like you'll find feathers in the hotel lobby on the street. It's always kind of fun. And Montreal, make sure when you go, you know what's going on that week that you're there, because there's always something to see. Like it's such an incredibly active city in the arts and in music and circus and all sorts of things happening there. So it's always important that you know what's happening when you're in Montreal.
We have a section of the city in Montreal actually blocked for car traffic just for shows. They're free shows on the streets, and people walk these streets in the city center. They become pedestrian basically for 2 months. They are closed to car traffic. So with our guests can just walk 15 minutes to the shows, and they have 4 stages that are permanent for the summer that are there just with different music basically on every tour we go. It's quite nice.
There's also the Francophonie in Montreal, which is a French festival. There's also the Just for Laugh festival in Montreal, which is always funny. In Ottawa, there's a Tulip festival in early May, mid-May. So if you want to see flower, you can go see the Tulips festival in Ottawa. It's just out of this beautiful.
Talking about flowers, Montreal is the second biggest botanical garden in the world. So it is huge. And a lot of our guests like to go there as well to see great flowers and, you know, Chinese garden and Japanese garden and so on.
For Constance, who just asked me what city's behind me, and that's Quebec City, for your answer there. Felix, one more for you, and then Valerie, actually, I'll close with one for you that kind of came in. Actually, any of you could answer it, but Valerie being the tour architect, I'm sure you could answer it as well. Felix, when it comes to French speaking, a guest was wondering, is the French the same that you would speak in France, or is it a little different based on a dialect of something for Canada?
Well, let me put it this way. We speak old French and they speak new French. So basically we understand everything they say, but they don't understand everything we say. First of all, we have bon matin in Quebec. We say good morning, bon matin. And in France, there's no such thing as good morning, right? So they just say good day, bonjour. If you say bon matin in France, they will laugh. They'll say someone from Quebec told you that. And yeah, so.
Thanks, Felix. Okay, why don't we close with, there was a couple questions that came through about general activity level of the tour and what sort of shape someone might need to be. What's the transportation like from city to city? So I don't know who wants to take that. Maybe Valerie, you start with that one, and then we can jump in with any of the tour directors if we want.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dustin. The activity level is pretty moderate, I would say. And day to day, it can vary a little bit, but for the most part, you know, we are traveling between the cities by motor coach. And then when we're in the cities, we kind of have a mixture of seeing some of the city by motor coach and some cities that are a little bit more quaint and easy to get around and charming. We develop having walking tours. So in Montreal, we have that walking tour, a little bit harder perhaps for somebody that doesn't do a lot of walking, but overall the tour is really very easy and not very strenuous at all. I don't know if any of the tour directors would like to jump in, but for the most part, it's very manageable.
Typically for someone who with strong disability would have some problems at the Niagara Falls, the walking tour in Montreal, and a section of Quebec City's walking tour as well. So that apart from those, anybody that can walk 50 feet will be all good.
Good. Well, thank you. And looks like we're right at the hour mark. So I think we finished this one up pretty good. So I want to thank everyone here. Valerie, thank you so much for emceeing and hosting this one. And obviously a big thanks to Sydney, Jen, and Felix for going out there and shooting that footage and talking through it all and probably redoing it a bunch of times, I'm sure. And then joining us here today to answer some Q&A. So is there anything anyone wants to say in closing before I kind of wrap it up a bit?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you again. Hey?
Yeah, see you soon, I hope.
Yeah, in the near
Au
future.
revoir.
Thank you.
Good. So again, thank you everyone for joining. I just did want to mention before we close here, to learn more about our journeys, obviously you can visit our website, tauck.com. All of these recordings are inside Tauck's. This one, as well as the ones we've done in the past, will be up on our blog page. Well, all the past ones are up on our blog page, but this one will be up on the page tomorrow. at some point in the afternoon, and that address is tauck.com/blog. And I just wanted to mention that all of our e-brochures are now available to download on the website as well. So if you're interested in looking at our 2021 tours and cruises, they are all there available for you. So again, thank you so much. We really appreciate you all joining, and we hope to see you join for our next one soon. And we also hope to see you live and in color on our actual tours. We are hoping to get out there again very soon. Thank you, everyone.